I now return to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I say I because I was in the process of uploading the episodes and decided to start deleting episodes so that I could free up memory so I could start recording some of the other series, because recording 3 series at once is kind of intensive for my system, and I ended up deleting this episode, so I gotta go back. Thankfully, however, this game has a very good system for where you can select where you want to start a mission. You do not have to start all over. Of course, I saved over this too. Brilliant. So I was able to come back here with a minimum of fuss, but it is another hour or so that I'm going to have to do again. That's what you get. I tried something new, and look what happened. All right, here we go. Yes, I quite understand. It is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam. Yeah, I mean, we could have left this tacked onto the end of last episode, but, you know. Yes. We'll save it all the way down here so I don't override my save file again. So now I have to remember where the next episode begins, because that's where I have to end this one. So we're going to go for a while. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So, where's your friend then? Oh, so where's your friend then? Sorry? You know, her in the fancy dress. Susato, whatever you say. I don't know. Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again one day. Even so. But you, Gina. You only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Waggy? Great way to show your support, kitty. I never nose round. What am I gonna do? Oh, that reminds me. I brought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Now, let's take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then. I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made a train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Alright then. So what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon, so even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all the good news canceled out the bad. And look, the trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in purse plunder, see? How do you like that? Yeah, let him say what they want. See if I care? Oh, I can't do your voice, Gina. I can't, because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Bruno will show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will. And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be Discharged Diver and Dauntless Do-Gooder. Is Dauntless Do-Gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno? Oh, yes. Let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It was just like she was still here. Today's paper has been entered in the courtroom record. Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Okay, but first we're going to look at this paper. Well, I guess we'll look at both sides. Fine. Pawnbroker perishes in purse plunder. How awful. For Ginny, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud Pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps. Protects planet? Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted? But how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Bruno? No, of course not. I wonder, perhaps this is what Lord Strongarm was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. I can only imagine this is going to be important later. And I mean that because it doesn't show up in the next episode. Also, did we look at McGilded's thing from last time? I don't even remember. Surprise fourth witness who was Gina. I can only imagine we'll have to bring that out too. Alright. Huh? Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. It's amazing that the British court just allows whoever to come in, and I'm not sure the big thing is as comforting, that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering is all, about Sholmes. Did they fix him up alright? Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come round yet. Eh? I asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. So, no Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris? Lead the way, Bruno. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. Are you ready for the terrible voice acting? In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready.
Lord Van Zeeks,
My lord,
remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service?
it was some 5 years ago, my lord.
Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government.
Really?
Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel.
There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago.
Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And so secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies, only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nippones.
What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Runo.
I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? A torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zeek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people?
An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zeeks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors.
Your lordship is too kind.
Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant?
Former
He's a mix of the former lieutenant of the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready.
Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motive is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it.
I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. But could I have?
Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop.
Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Is something wrong, Bruno?
No, not exactly, it's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors, except for number 3. Almost all of them, in fact.
Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know? So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, the court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case.
As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the finding of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And, what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. Oh. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord.
Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please.
The autopsy report's been added to the record. The crime scene photograph has been added to the record. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only two persons present. The victim, Mr. Winterbank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. And that little grub... Oh, sorry.
She's one of 50 drabs living in the slum in the East End. Oh, well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood in her hands then.
What are the jurors waiting for? The guy's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My learned Nip and his friends. It is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses.
Good gracious.
After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth.
The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zieks.
At once, my lord. Crime scene floor plan has been added to the court record. Winterbank's revolver has been added to the record. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank on the 16th of April of this year. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is, baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation, same as him. The boy's Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. What are you looking at me for like that? Don't lump me in with you lot. Cool, blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him, so we're scouring every shaded corner of the capital. And then last night, we come across you with a very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash. He is the very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was going to do. We was going to call you Big Bruv Sulky. Big Bruv Sulky, sorry, Ringo. Which is funny. Bingo is Japanese for apple, and hence what he's eating. I just realized that now. Come on, leave me out of it, you two. Sulky Skulkin. And that's before he runs out of chips.
Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson.
Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias.
What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing with the witness stand. You're in the witness stand.
The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft.
Thieves, are they, these three?
No, my lord, begging your pardon, but please don't let me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle, and in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime.
By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence.
Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder.
Order! Order!
The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With his lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow.
Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describes the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Because our Skulkin's never skulkin'. Get out of it. Illegal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gaff's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was. And once we got inside, God blimey lumpy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We was just... we just left after that, nice and quiet.
A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot.
The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom for the main shop was indeed locked from the inside. And within, only the victim and the accused were found.
I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel?
Oh, yes. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. And, Nash over here, eating a pear. The Japanese word for pear is nash. Not nashi, but the I is silent, so nash. So, yeah, little bit of punnery there for you.
Hold it!
The front door of Windibanks was ajar, you say. What time of night was this? Yeah, it must have been about 1, right, Ringo? Yeah, no, I'd say so. Right, Talkie? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning in there. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, they accused Miss Gina Lestrade already had the muzzle-over gun trained on the unfortunate victim. That is pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened. It was like some kind of sign.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim. I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't. Like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it.
It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv. I'll say it. Cut it out. Those chips are getting a chopping today. Once we got inside, God blimey, we had a gunshot. A gunshot, you say? Just the one. Are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? Firearm used belonged to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Winterbank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Winterbank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true. I remember him saying that as well.
So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon.
Yes, my lord, we can. Though we should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked. Hold it! You mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, no much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Hey? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. Well, I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, or the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. All right, somehow I just proved that I was a coward at that night.
Thank you, counsels. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses.
We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We were just right. You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story? Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left, nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than violent. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out me Lucy lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Hey, come again. As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person?
Sights alive. They fired a gun, you say?
Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway?
It was.
Oh, the bleeding honor. Didn't you mention that before?
You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Holmes. You shot the great Sherlock Holmes? Did you hear that, actually? He was a rumor he'd been rushed to a hospital. The great Holmes had just been blue. The night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel showed signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers.
Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, Counsel. The court will have this weapon as evidence.
The Skulkin brothers' gun has been entered to the court record. Now, Nipponi's friends, we'll just wait a minute so we can actually look at this. Can't find anything out of place. Because I wasn't looking at the right thing. So there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders.
Yes, which tells us that only a single shot had been fired from it.
Exactly.
The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it?
Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Windibank's door.
I'll make those brothers pay.
Okay, I think that's all we can get from out of that, and then this, I guess we can look at it, even though I don't think it tells me anything. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty.
Mr. Windibank always used to keep his gun on hand in his counter shop. Shop counter, wow. Dyslexia.
Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand.
That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe.
But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? And then, of course, this, but we'll look at that again in a minute here. Yes. Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For, yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection!
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibank's that night.
The court demands that all claims be affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night?
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio.
What? What on earth have you there, Counsel?
During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do, how arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio.
And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein.
Yes, my lord.
No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene?
Well, present this.
Take that!
What is that? Explain.
It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there.
Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th.
That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night.
How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks?
If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. and like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back under the street.
Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight.
I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact.
To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks?
As has been established at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Vinderbank at all. So that's it.
That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon.
Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget attempted murder. What a catalogue, eh, fellas?
We're in for it now, bruv.
Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric? Says who?
Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in his victim's shop.
Oh, that's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption.
As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device and the knight in question. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion.
Rather prodigal, I feel.
In fact, there are two such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here.
You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I am afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals.
One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. The night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera. That's a bit of friar talk, eh, bruv?
Lucky Lady Luck's loves are skulking.
Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin?
Must have been just after 1.
Yeah, right, bruv. Must have been, Ash, must have been. Yeah, just got one. Just gone one, right.
In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence.
Good Lord. It's the defendant. Miss Gina Lestrade.
As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter, no doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to the storeroom.
Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
Photograph of Gina has been entered in the court record.
I don't believe it. Ginny.
In short, The accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windbane. I say, my lord.
Oh, sure. I wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. I took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? A decorated fortune and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Mr. Foreman, yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? I carried on the battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words, one for all and all for one.
The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand?
Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Garradeb squadron's position, sir. What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment. Status report for the court, man. On the double.
His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too. I think you'll find the truth is as clear as day now, or I could reach out and touch it.
I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember.
Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth. Now undeniable. Stop.
I'm very sorry for my brothers. They are unlucky.
Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
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 It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leanings already.
That photograph must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned.
But Ginny didn't shoot him.
No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination.
Very well. The court grants permission.
So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising.
We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready?
Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. I think I've changed your voice, sir.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty.
Hold on a tick. Alright, sorry.
All evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketeer.
I just had to make sure we're, hello? Okay. Making sure it's recording the screen.
Damn. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated.
I think you'll find that if you look at that photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
If I left it in there, I should think there'll be repercussions by now.
Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict follow. Stop.
In motherland we say, never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. Hold on a minute. Alright, just checking it one more time. I gotta make these match up now.
The circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively.
The storeroom, locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone, and in the accused's hand the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses. Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger. Your voice is all over the place, sir. It's a lot, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh dear, Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder.
I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you.
Regina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to the situation that we've yet to see.
Agreed.
We have the full counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at the young pickpocketer.
Hold it!
You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garadeb, aren't you? We really must stop meeting like this.
Ah, you're that lawyer chap. He's got a bit of an old boy, but he's a bit of older, isn't he? But not otherwise, he sounds like the judge, so this is very difficult for me. Well, there's a turn-up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then.
Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your rating to not guilty or anything.
It can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garadeb house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up the tendencies.
I almost thought that said tentacles for a minute.
Oh? Haven't had the heart to break the news to Joni yet. Bad enough the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot, but not for us. That's for dashed certain.
I suppose not.
Of course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning toward guilty here, obviously.
Obviously, but honestly, I really wish he'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2.
As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again.
A maid's work is never done, not a blemish must remain.
What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores?
On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pickpursers, and crossmen, the scum of the earth.
A little harsh, perhaps?
Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals.
You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Rancid magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital.
Mr. Sholmes? A maid?
It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum have the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective.
Minor detail. It was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant.
A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway.
Yes, all right. I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
If I have worked it in there, I should think...
Oh, wait a minute. Go back.
Hold it!
What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo?
Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously.
Objection!
But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun.
All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information.
By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes?
Oh, how did you know?
Let's call it a lucky guess.
It never gets old seeing the 2 prints merge into one before your eyes.
It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. If only it could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you.
I've left it in there. There could be repercussions by now.
What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that.
So sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon.
A surgeon? That totally passed me by.
Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors, oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field.
So, what is it that you think you've left behind?
Well, that's a little embarrassing, to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. A standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere.
What? Did he? Surely not.
Exactly, surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what has been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really.
That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter.
That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure.
I'm sure you need to be more sure. Mind made up. Stop. Global transmission. Stop. Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communications with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers may take more than a month to complete the journey. Ah, but now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cable have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable? On the ocean bed? It makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You're well informed, young lady. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. And just when I was starting to catch up. Radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over airwaves to four corners of globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are a height of technology. What utter piffle. I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys.
Excuse me.
Juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. Oh, I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think you just might be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you? Eh? Absolutely. I mean, really, a machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through the stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never even noticed before. What? Have you got any, Reno? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope? Well, yes, I happen to have a couple. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
I was wrong. I can't actually think of anything we could use it on. What the? What?
What, really? Oh dear, I think maybe I need to have a stereoscopic look at your brain sometime.
What's that supposed to mean? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no. What the fuck? I gotta do it again?
Hold it!
Oh my god, I gotta do it again. I literally presented the fucking photograph. Are you kidding me?
Excuse me.
It's ridiculous that we have to go through this again. Well, in that case, I will do what I did last time and give the photograph of the crime scene. Well, it would be this one then, eh?
Take that!
Alright, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Okay, well I don't have one, but this is apparently how I'm going to have to do this. Wait, sorry. What do you mean, one more print? Oh dear, oh dear. Don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how a stereoscope works? Yeah, I forgot about this. The game, twice is about to explain to us how a stereoscope works that we've already been explained in the previous chapter. You know, what? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? You know, one for the left eye and one for the right. Oh, yes, I remember now. But the print we have from the pawnbroker is just a normal photograph. No, I think you'll find that the clue is in the name. It's a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation.
Well, if we obtain another print at some point later in the trial, we can always show it to you. This young man, he then...
I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me.
Let's get things back on track, shall we, Counsel?
All we'd need is another shot from a slightly different location, and we could see the scene in 3 dimensions.
Hold it!
Can it really show up new clues, though? Don't know unless you try.
How about this print here?
It should... Oh, fuck, I don't want to do this. So we'll do this so we can get out of it. Alright, continuing on here. In Motherland we say, never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent.
Hold it!
Please tell me you're not villain Bolshevik. The Russian revolutionary.
Revolutionary?
I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor. As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat.
And which cloud fits?
Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts. to be treated like vicious criminal all the time. It is very painful. People do not realize. So I have much sympathies for his brothers. People, they say they are criminals only because of how they look. Skulkin brothers. Maybe they went inside Brombroker's shop. But they have done nothing wrong. That is all I want to say. Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night. Alright, well first of all, that's one not-so-little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Runo? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, aren't they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting among them who looks, for all the world, like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. If I can't change the minds of more than half these 6 jurors, the trial will be over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. I must be ready to go to whatever lengths I have to convince them of Gina's innocence. Alright, I think this is it. I think we've matched up with the next episode now. So, I'll end this here, and see you then.